It's 4 a.m., nearly 4 a.m. at the moment. Just me, frazzled, in my room, in front of my computer, facing my Blue Yeti mic. And in humid weather too. There's no AC because I'm being cheap, and well, the best way to describe what I'm feeling right now is ugh. Before this, I was watching Netflix, deep into the evening. Black Rabbit, my god, it's addictive. Jason Bateman and Jude Law, honestly, they're a good duo. Anyway, before I even realized it, it was nearing 2 a.m. So I thought, okay, let me try to get to sleep. It kind of feels like my eyelids are pretty damn heavy. And to further prove how tired I thought I felt, I was actually nodding off in the shower. I thought, nice. I got done, I got back to my room, turned off the lights, got into bed, and tried to close my eyes, and then opened them within a minute. And then I just started staring into the dark ceiling above. And then I just chuckled after about 2 hours of non-stop staring, and I thought, man, I'm just not going to be able to sleep, am I? I actually wanted to start off this episode apologizing about the potential hoarseness of my 4 a.m. voice, but it seems okay so far, fortunately. Anyway, this is, I think, the best way for me to introduce the Kailogue series, which I very aptly called, well, the sleep arc, if you will. I recently released a career arc series and roughly explained that these arcs will be multi-part episodes for a particular topic. Personally, I think I got a bit too influenced by the Japanese anime Demon Slayer and its talk of arcs to describe the progression and the journey of the anime itself. So this arc is like a storyline, continuous and multi-part. It's a category on its own for my podcast, and I plan to use it as a way to dive deeper into certain topics and let it sort of play out over several episodes. Obviously, I wouldn't call it Sleep Part 1 because that's just a bit boring. Also, the episodes may not necessarily be released in consecutive weeks. They'll likely be published sporadically. Some may have closures, others will probably just keep going as long as I'm keen on keeping it going and going. Kind of like those Hollywood movies. You think Shrek 3 is all said and done, and then they come out with Shrek 4. Nicely done, by the way. 30 years from now would be at Shrek 12 or something, and the title will be like, Shrek 12, is it finally time to kick the bucket? Speaking of Shrek, I actually saw recently that Shrek 5 will be coming out in 2027. So, case in point. Anyway, semantics aside, why sleep? Well, it's been my lifelong nemesis. 8-year-long nemesis anyway, so not really a lifelong nemesis. This arc, I think, really makes sense to me. If there was something big, other than my god-awful job hunt progress, is that I don't get enough sleep. In fact, I've had such bad insomnia for nearly a decade now that every night it's almost a battle with myself. Literally moments before I turn off the room lights, I think, please God, let me just get to bed in peace. But of course, more often than not, it's really just a coin toss. It's so bad that I can actually remember the last time I had fantastic sleep. October 2017. I was taking a short break in Taiwan, hiking up mountains, eating all the good food. And I had very little sleep because, well, I jam-packed my entire schedule. But each night, my God, I slept like a log. I genuinely, honestly, don't exactly remember the first time or period in my life where I realized I couldn't sleep properly at night. I guess it just gradually happened. For as long as I can remember, my sleep has always been superb. I used to be able to just turn off the lights, crawl into bed, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I'd be out. Maybe I'd wake up once in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, but otherwise, I'm golden until I wake up. Back then, the sleep was so good that whenever I officially woke up, even if I had to wake up for, let's say, a 4 a.m. flight, I could wake up and do one of those classic stretches like cats and dogs do and enjoy it completely. These days, though, it's an epic struggle. Even with the supposed gold standard of 8 hours of sleep, I can never wake up feeling refreshed. It literally feels like I only slept for 10 minutes. Have you guys ever experienced this? You try to go to bed, but take what feels like eons, just to nod off. Or even if you successfully nod off, you then proceed to wake up a billion times at night. Or you manage to sleep maybe for 2 hours, and then you wake up and you just can't get back to sleep again. Yeah, that's me. Which ones? Sometimes one, sometimes two out of the three, and if I'm damn unlucky, maybe all of the above. A couple months ago, a good friend of mine recommended me to do something I thought sounded ludicrous. She said, if you can't get to sleep, get onto the computer and then play intense computer games until you feel completely blown away tired, and then you try to go back to sleep. I was like, yo, wouldn't the blue light, the intensity of the gaming, worsen the insomnia? Her thinking is that when you're experiencing insomnia, literally the worst thing you can do is continue tossing and turning on the bed. It's not helpful. Weirdly, you just need to accept it, the reality that you can't get to sleep immediately that evening. That you need to get out of bed, walk about, listen to some audible, do something to keep yourself active, change the environment, even briefly, before you try to get back to sleep. Distract yourself, strange as it sounds. Well, I thought, damn, okay, this is a great excuse for me to play some computer games. So earlier in the year, I installed a game called Fragpunk. Probably the first recent new first-person shooter that I actually can play on my really old 2016 MSI gaming laptop. Yeah, I'm not really a baller like most others, so I still use my cheap but still functionable laptop. So I've just been binging it, kicking ass, and enjoying playing the game hours on end. I started off terribly, but then I got so good. Yes, this is me tooting my own horn, that I started going on 60 plus game winning streaks, currently at 63. Not that that matters. You know you've been playing a lot and doing really well when people start accusing you of cheating. That's annoying, but I guess I'm flattered, I suppose. But what an excuse to play games to try to resolve insomnia. I guess it made me happy. I haven't been able to really play new computer games in a while because of my old laptop. Hey, it's a testament to how well I take care of the things I own. The fact that my 9-year-old MSI laptop still works. Even my phone can last more than 5 years. What about you? Anyway, on those evenings I decided I was too bored with winning on Fragpunk, I'd play on my Nintendo Switch. I bought this really beautiful yet supremely frustrating game called Ori and the Blind Forest, and its successor, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So that kept me up with all the exploration and the puzzle platform gameplay. I think it's what it's called basically, puzzle platform. And after many, many hours depleted from my life, I finally completed both games. Never again. Until maybe the next Ori comes out, then maybe. And for a while, I thought it worked. I'd get out of bed after not being able to sleep for 30 minutes or an hour, and then I'd play computer games or be on my Switch for 2 hours straight. And then I'd feel so immensely frazzled that I'd eventually head back under the covers and fall asleep. One of those, either way, I wouldn't get to sleep for at least 2 hours, so I may as well be playing some games versus tossing and turning in the bed for the same amount of time. But after a while, it became expected, routine. I remember once getting to bed at midnight and then not being able to nod off for 2 hours straight. So, okay, it's 2 a.m. I'll play some games. And I proceeded to play and play until it hit 8 a.m. before I realized, the sun is up. And I'm still wired, probably more so than at 2 a.m. So I thought, oh, fuck this. So here I am at 4 a.m. I thought that was going to be the plan, right? A wholehearted attempt to play games and hope that I'd be able to tire myself out and get to sleep. And I thought, man, if I'm not too careful with time management, it'll probably end up being noon before I finally got to sleep. There's no point. So I may as well do something useful and record a podcast. Ta da! That said, in hindsight, there was some truth in what my friend said. It really is impossible. You just can't force yourself to sleep if you can't sleep. The first step to take, literally, is to accept reality. Just get out of bed, go to the living room, read a book, have some chamomile tea, or maybe go for a light jog or just pace about in the house. In my case, well, you play some games, and then you try to get back to sleep. In my case, if my sleep is really going to be shit, at least I have my computer games to entertain myself. Why not? Honestly, though, this is definitely not the be all and all resolution to insomnia. While it's super fun, it's not exactly healthy. Imagine your brain being wired in the wee hours of the morning. You're just burning brain cells and screwing with your already bad sleep. And it's not exactly practical, isn't it? For the latter, it's not a surefire solution. Once it becomes routine, anyway. And look at me. I don't have a job. I could sleep at any time or not sleep if I decided not to. And I can still try to compensate during the day with mini naps here and there. What about those people who have insomnia but they still have to work? And here's the tricky part. What about when I finally get a job? Man, I'd be screwed, wouldn't I? But fuck it, for the moment anyway, I at least can enjoy rather than suffer during my insomnia filled evenings. To all of the insomniacs out there, how do you tackle your insomnia? Do you also play games? Hell, you want to join me on a gaming binge on Fragpunk? Or maybe Call of Duty Mobile? And, to those who sleep well, just bugger off. No, seriously, I would implore you on behalf of my insomniac brethren and myself to provide any useful tips to help us out here. It would be super appreciated. Well then, here's to good sleep, everyone.